JKB back with another episode. Today on the show I'm going to be reviewing the Turtle Beach Recon Controller. This is a wired controller with audio features built into the top. As you can see, it has a really cool looking display panel up here that lets you really customize your experience in terms of the audio and the customizable buttons on back. So I should say, well, once again, thank you to Turtle Beach for sending over this unit, but I will say that I do feel like this is a budget controller to a certain degree. However, does it really need that label? No, it kind of is next level in terms of budget. Let's just say this. This is a controller that has audio features that are usually within the Turtle Beach line of headsets. So I'll be reviewing this as well. This is a really great pair of headphones also you should check out, but we'll get into that later. And the reason for that is because these are 60mm drivers. They also have dual drivers, so it's kind of a first for gaming headsets. But let's get back to the controller here. What makes this special? Well, you can plug in any 3.5 jack headset into the bottom here, and it transforms it into a gaming headset. Now, of course, you do need to make sure it has a microphone also if you want to use the chat function. If you have something like this lying around, or even a last gen one, it's going to essentially take those and not make them next generation, but it's going to let you use the EQ that they've put into the controller itself opposed to what's on your headset. So let's begin with the feel of the controller. I think a lot of people out there probably have held an Xbox One controller or the Xbox Series S and X controllers. This does feel lighter. Obviously, it's going to feel lighter. That's because it doesn't have a battery, and the plastic that they're using on the outside of the controllers, it's just a little bit lighter, and the grips do feel like, I wouldn't say the word cheap plastic, but they don't feel as, I don't know, good as the actual controller. However, if you never picked up an actual Xbox controller, would this feel good? Well, yeah, it actually does feel good. I think the downfall of the controller, if anyone's going to really complain about anything much, is that it does feel kind of slightly cheap in terms of its plastics. Other than that, when it comes to how it actually performs and how the buttons feel and how the joysticks feel, the only other thing that I'll get into right here is the D-pad isn't my favorite. It's very mushy, and it's not clear when you've actually hit something. It just feels a little mushy. Now, I'll say that it does work well because I tried it with a ton of platformers, but it just doesn't feel up to par with, say, the Xbox controller itself. However, it works and it's passable. Now, let's move on to the triggers themselves, because what's special about this as well, it is a wired controller, comes with a 3-meter cable that I don't even need to show here, but it's actually a pretty good cable. Plugs into the top. Then you plug your headset into the bottom. The only other thing I just want to say off the bat is that when you have a cable coming out the top and the bottom, it is a little awkward, especially if you're kind of moving around a little bit. I don't think gamers are moving that much, but if you don't like cables, this controller might not be for you. Let's move on to what I was saying about these. This feels pretty good. These feel good. This click feels nice. The way that these sort of curve up feels nice as well. These also have vibrations in them. Each of the sides have vibration motors in them. So they really do feel pretty good, and it is a pretty strong vibration. So I'm definitely going to say those feel great. Love the triggers, they feel great, and you really do get a nice grip on the top here. It really has these sort of like little pinholes, it looks like, or dimples that really grab onto your skin, so that's a plus. On the back, I'll get into this now, has 2 customizable buttons. One of them is called, let me double check, I believe they call it Pro Aim Focus. The reason that this is on the controller is it's primarily going to be used for first-person shooters, and what it does is essentially changes the sensitivity of your aiming joystick, or sorry, your right analog stick. So when you're aiming, or playing the game essentially normal, you've got your sensitivity set up, right? When you push this button, you change your sensitivity of the right analog stick. So you can put that on low, medium, high, or max, and this is going to actually change the way the game plays in big ways, especially if you're the type of person that's zooming in a lot. You could change the sensitivity to be lower so the movement is more precise, or if you want to swing around quickly, you can set it up to do that as well. So that's a cool feature for a lot of the first-person players out there that I'm happy about. It's not something I would really use unless I got into something sort of in a competitive situation. But I mean, it's cool that it's in the controller and you can customize it. Next up, I'll get into the EQ. The EQ is going to let you change the audio that's coming out of the jack. So you get a sort of like cool little manual here that explains how to do everything. With the EQ, you can do the signature sound, which basically, I believe, amplifies a lot of the different sounds in first-person shooters that are important, and tones down like the gunshots and explosions, and really amplifies the sort of surround sound steps that you would hear around you. So you can kind of hear a player that's closer because of the audio being set up that way. You also are going to get the bass boost option, bass boost and treble boost, and last but not least, you have the ability to pump up the vocal boost. So if you're the type of person that's playing multiplayer games, you really just want to hear that, you can do that as well. All of it's customizable at the top here, of course. You also have a couple of other cool features here, like the ability to turn the volume up and down on the headset and turn the volume up and down just on the chat. So this allows you to basically click the little rocker here and just freely turn it up and down. So sometimes, you know, you got to mute your mic. You also have that ability on top of the mic as well here, or on top of the controller. You have that little mic icon. You hit it, boom, you're muted. Simple as that. You've got a mic monitoring, so you're able to hear, obviously, your own microphone, for the love of God, through the controller as well. And then going through, we went over the IQ settings, which is awesome. You've got the feature level. So there's a little indication here that lets you change profiles. So you can set up customized buttons on the back, like I said here, but you can button map everything on this controller, I believe. I did test it obviously with the 2 on the back. It's very simple to do. It involves holding the menu button and then choosing your button, choosing the next button, hitting select, boom, you've got it in place. Now, of course, it comes with a manual to explain that. Then you've got the ability to, like I said, map. Let's go over that really quickly. Like I just said, you can map everything. And then last but not least, mute your microphone. Then the Superhuman Hearing mode, which is this button right here, is that ridiculous mode where you've got superhuman hearing, where, like I said, it'll essentially take certain sounds that it knows are special to the game, like the running of people next to you, soldiers' footsteps, gunshots in the distance. It takes that surround sound audio and sort of mixes it in a way that it's kind of amplified for you to hear it better. So in closing, let's go over some of the other things that are important to the people out there that are going to be picking this up. I think it feels a little light. I think it could have been heavier. That would have helped a little bit, but at this level of, you know, features for the price you're paying, it's understandable that it does feel a little plasticky. Now, moving on to the buttons feel great. They feel basically identical to the Xbox controller. I have no problem with these. They feel great. The bumper buttons, again, those feel great. I think there's a bit more range when it comes to pushing it in. You have to push it in a little bit more than the bumpers that are on the Xbox controller. The triggers feel great. These back buttons do feel super quick. I mean, we're not talking about an elite controller here, so it's not like pinpoint pressing. It's not like that, but yeah, it feels good. It feels pretty good, actually. You've also got these grips. This is plastic right here, and then on the side, you've got a rubber grip that actually wraps around the controller. It's on the inside as well, and it does really help you hold the controller. At the beginning, when I started playing with this, I was like, wow, that works. The grips do feel great. Then, last but not least, the important parts, how do the sticks feel? Well, I'm going to say that they feel pretty much the same as the Xbox controller. They feel great. You've got that amazing sort of smooth feeling that you get from the Xbox controllers. You somehow got it here. I mean, if I get really close in there, you can see that the plastic being used there, you could see the thread line, or where they melted the two pieces of plastic together. So I mean, yeah, it's amazing feeling. It just, yeah, they use plastics and certain parts here that are maybe not as high quality as you're used to using, but when it comes all together, you've got a great controller with the customizable back buttons and the ability to mute and set the chat level, and everything feels pretty good. You've got the vibrations in the top, right, left triggers. It feels pretty good. Now, the only other thing I can say about the controller is that if you don't like wires, like I said, you're gonna have a hard time because you've got like a 3-meter wire coming out the top, and you've got your jack in the bottom going up to your headset. So some people might find that a little much. I don't. Now, do I recommend this controller? For the price and the features and the ability to use it through any old gaming headset that has a microphone or not, it is incredible value. I'm very impressed with the EQ features that they put in here. These are the same features you get on most of their Turtle Beach headphones. So I mean, to get it built into a controller, this is what I would look at if I couldn't afford the Elite controller, let's say the Elite 2 controller, and I'm dying to play Halo this November, December, whenever it comes out. This is the controller I go and pick up, because if I have a headset sitting around, I plug it into this and everything is solved for me. I've got all of those audio features, which are actually amazing to use when you're playing those games. Having the abilities to just switch it on top here and customize your buttons and mute the controller audio and everything at the top here is great. I mean, it's better than having it on the headset itself. You're not fumbling with it. You see it all on the controller. So overall, I do highly recommend checking this controller out. If you're looking at the Elite controller thinking this thing's like $300 in Canada here, so whatever, like $250 in the US, no, like, take a look at this controller. The only downsides is that, yeah, it's using a bit of cheap plastic. It feels light, and it's not necessarily, you know, the heaviest controller I've ever felt. I almost feel like I want to tape. Well, I guess you can't tape. I was going to say put something heavy inside of it because I'm sure there's space in here. But overall, highly recommend the Recon controller from Turtle Beach. Give it a shot. It's an amazing budget controller with amazing features that almost amplify it past being a budget controller. So thank you to Turtle Beach once again. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of JKB.